we're getting ready to do an hour of broadcast excellence.
I like
Starts
that.
now.
Hey, you're on the Working Title podcast with myself, Christopher DeSimone, and my good friend Clinton. What's your middle initial?
S.
S. Peak.
Yeah.
The Copper Creek Cookies with your fabulous wife Tammy. I forgot what your title is at Live the Dream Media, but
The president is the official title.
President of Live the Dream Media. Right.
Yeah.
And a survivor of a she shed attack. Clinton S. Peak.
That's me.
I am.
How you doing, D-Train?
To the day I die.
Yeah.
I will ride your ass on the she shed attack.
Yeah. Well, we know that worked out pretty well. Got a bunch of new air conditioners out of that.
So there's two things I want to talk about today. I want to talk a little Halloween stuff.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about Election Day.
Okay.
As we get close there. What do you got anything on the top of your head?
Yeah, but I want to talk about baseball real quick.
Baseball, please. Sure.
Yeah. What is going on with the Yankee fans? Do you know what I'm referring to?
No.
You haven't seen this clip?
No, so my Yankee fans are my buddies from New York. I grew up in New York.
Okay.
Right, I'm a Met fan. I grew up as a Met fan, but I have plenty of Yankee fans family. And what's been wild about watching them is they're just in depression, really, is what I've seen.
Yeah.
Now, they won last night, we know, and won big, right? And I'm sure LA's fine to go back and just beat them in LA, right?
Yeah.
But, the Freddie Freeman attack, but that grand slam was
Mr. October.
Was off the wall, right?
Mr. October now.
What a fun name. Freddie
Frederick, we call him in the hood.
Freeman, right?
Hey, but I'm talking about the pop fly foul ball down the line, first inning, right field. These guys, did you see it?
I know what you're talking about now.
They assaulted Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts was assaulted, and
no one's ever been assaulted in the Bronx.
No, never. Not on the baseball field, though, by a fan. I heard people go like, ban them for life. And when I heard that originally, I'm like, yeah, they did. And I'm like, when I really resaw it, I'm like, yeah, they should probably ban.
So where were you on Bartman?
Well, Bartman didn't like assault a guy. He was sitting inland, and I think Bartman got a really bad rap.
He did,
and I'm a Cub fan. He got a really bad rap, and Al Lou made that exact. I don't think
Moises screwed him.
He didn't. He wasn't going to catch that ball. Bartman should have. I mean, he did what every fan sitting in that section was doing. It just happened to hit his hands.
So what's really sad about the Yankees of what I've watched so far is, I mean, obviously pitching, the Dodgers are superior in lots of different ways.
Especially in the bullpen.
Yep. But still, I feel like the Yankees aren't. Yankee teams of old would at least try to grind at bats against the starting pitching. And I just feel like they're going. It's like they look like little leaguers at times. They're just
Judge, who is such a great ball player, no doubt about it.
Stuff happens.
He's just lost right now. He is just lost.
Stuff happens.
So I think at 1 through 9, the Dodgers have got a much better offensive lineup right now. They're grinding bats out.
Yep.
And again, I have no dog in this fight. I just picked the Dodgers on this show a week ago in 6. And, of course, I'm sticking to it. And I think Mr. DeSimone picked the Yankees in 6.
We're doing a lunch bet on this, right? We did a lunch bet?
Did we do a bet?
I'm sure. I'll take you out for lunch anyway.
Okay. Well, assuming the lead holds. I mean,
ain't over till it's over. But it's gonna be it's a tough road.
I post following every Cub game and a Cub victory, and I post following every Bears victory. And Sunday, I was ready to post the Bears had come back to take the lead. I mean, in a poorly played ball game, they had the lead with 25 seconds to go.
Oh, our boy McCluskey was jumping up and down.
I was ready to pull the trigger.
Now, have you seen the fan video of what happened during that?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
So the corner or defensive back guy is, instead of paying attention to the last play, is walking down the sideline and taunting the Redskins fans.
Hey, you know what?
Sorry, Commander fans.
Commander. You know what? What's his name? Former Bear, not Ditka, former Bear coach. I can't think of his name.
Buddy?
Right, no, not
Buddy's
Buddy.
dead, right?
Buddy's passed away. I can't think of his name right now. Dave. What is his Dave?
I know you're talking
Dave Wanset?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
I was going to say.
Yeah,
I was going to say mini Bill Cower.
Yeah. You know what? he said in a podcast earlier this week he'd bench the guy for a week, and you know what? I'd bench him at least for a quarter or a half for sure.
Correct. That beautiful voice you heard was the great Ron Arenas.
Yes.
Owner of Picture Rock Heating and
morning
Cooling.
to everyone.
And of course, he's taking care of us in the meat locker today. We appreciate what he does.
And he was not here last Wednesday. We missed him. He was over at his new facility.
Oh, he's doing it all.
Getting it all painted up. And what else were you doing over there, Ron?
He was on. You were on a trip, weren't you?
Then he went on a trip, yeah.
An air conditioner trip.
I was on a small cruise to Ensenada, and before that, I was working on the building.
I love it. Work hard, play hard. We
Yeah.
say at the Picture Rock Heating and Cooling.
Well,
That's
Ron
right.
and I were just talking about that. You got to do that.
Absolutely.
You got to work real hard and then play as hard as you.
The
I
only
just don't
guy,
play
the
hard
only
like I
guy
used to, though.
who's on media now more than Ron Arenas is our good friend Carlos Ruiz, who owns HT Metals. I've been writing him a little bit on Wake Up. He is everywhere.
He's everywhere.
I love it. As I always say, Carlos, if you're watching right now, I'm going to miss you on Wednesday.
Hey, hold the phone. Hang on. Hey, Clint, this is Andy reaching out. I wanted you to know about the candidate fact sheet. You know, guys, I've already voted. Please take me off your list.
Oh, that was your.
Go ahead. Just mark me done.
So I always hear that from some of my friends in the election world, campaign world. They say, "Well, if you get your in and it's confirmed, then we don't have to market to you anymore."
Yeah. Well, yeah.
What party? Can you tell me what party at least sent you that? You don't say who specifically, but I just want to know.
Let's see what they're trying to do here.
But and I'm going to tell you something. So Trump has trained the Republicans.
Oh, we've got a fact sheet.
I always love when a campaign sends me out a fact sheet.
I don't know.
So it's okay. So Trump has trained the Republicans after the last two elections that you got to go vote early.
It's a Trumper.
Okay. So vote early, right? And so we live up in the OV, right? And the Oro Valley Library for the last since it opened 2 Mondays ago,
21st,
has been just packed.
I went, I think last Wednesday after we'd finished this show.
Right.
Dropped my wife and sons, who are smart enough to get theirs early ballot, dropped theirs in the box and then waited in line about 35 minutes to vote.
Okay.
It took me 2 minutes to actually cast my ballot because I already.
So mine and Ron's buddy Don, he knows Don. Don went last Friday, and he said it was at least an hour wait.
Yeah.
On Friday in OV, and then
Wonder what time of the day, just out of curiosity.
He went late morning, but what he told me was talking to people. If you go in the afternoon, it's less of a
Okay, because I was in the afternoon.
Right, because
2 o'clock.
our senior brothers and sisters,
they start early.
I mean, happy hour at the keg starts at 3. They got to get their $9 plate of sliders. I understand. I understand the price of things. I got it.
Yep.
So anyway, the Republicans are coming hard. When you look at how they're outnumbering D votes in the early, that's never happened ever.
No, that's right.
So I'm fascinated to see and how this is going to break down are these people that would have voted on Election Day just coming early, or has this really caused a little bit of a wave of people who haven't voted before or whatever? I don't know, but it's a dynamic I've never seen before.
You know what I love is the change of the tenor of the articles is vote early, and this has been for the last 6-8 years, last 2 or 3 major presidential elections. Is we know that the Democrats tend to vote earlier, the conservative Republicans tend to vote on Election Day.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal about that, get out early. Now the whole tenor of most articles that I'm reading is don't read too much into it that the Republicans are showing up in numbers right now. It's okay. Don't read too much into it. It's typical. Because I read everything, by the way, Chris.
Sure.
I read it liberal, conservative, independent stuff. I mean, all of it. And most of the left-leaners are saying, yeah, that ain't that big a deal.
Of course they're going to say that.
And I'm like, this is kind of weird because all along you've been saying, look what we've done.
That's a trend that we've never, ever seen before.
Yeah, no.
And if you're sitting there going, it's nothing. I think that's a little much.
I think you're trying to apply a little salve to the Because I've said it on this show, I'll say it again. I think Trump wins.
I think so, too.
I think we're sitting here maybe not next week because it might take them take them forever.
I literally, so we took off Monday on Wake Up. We come back Tuesday and I said, all right, Matt and I rested. We're ready to go, right? And we're ready for the most important, the stretch drive, baby. And I said, when we find out who wins these things the day before Thanksgiving, let's go.
And let me go on record right now. I would take 2 new candidates today, sprint to the finish.
Oh, I'm with you. This is where we're
I'm just saying. No. I have to put the pipe down, Clint. Hey, I want to.
One last thing on this election thing is I can tell that Kamala's crew is in freak mode.
Yeah.
So I don't quote what a Republican group or pollsters telling me about this stuff.
Yeah, no.
But I can tell that the way she's playing the game and her crew and the PACs and the media that she's behind. We can tell because everything's fascist and Hitler now.
Yep.
I mean, it's all.
Yep.
It's kind of like, hi, do you like lemonade? Hitler.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's every answer is Hitler, and that's and I'm going to tell you something. I think it was a New York Times report a couple of days ago where they have some sort of memo from a Democrat strategist basically saying, the Hitler thing ain't working.
Yeah.
Right. It's not making the move you think it was. I can also see in the media when Kamala goes on her she's now all of a sudden she's available for interviews because she's desperate. Right. Now they're asking her tough questions. I feel like the media who has been telling you that Joe Biden's the sharpest tool in the shed, right? And now she's the most amazing person. If you remember, when she ran in the primary in 20, she was the first one to go out because no one in the Democrat Party liked her in 2020.
She's technically never had a primary vote ever cast for her.
Right. It's true. Correct. Right. So you can tell they're asking. So Anderson Cooper, of all people, right? Which I would have told you the toughest thing Anderson Cooper's ever done is get hit in the head twice while covering a hurricane.
Yeah.
Right. That's tough, baby. You're standing in the water and something flies and bops you in the head. Right. He actually said, well, you said whatever in the past that having a wall on the southern border is a joke. But in your border package that you want to do if you're a president, it has the border wall. So is it a joke or not a joke, right? And then she just chokes, right? But the idea that Anderson Cooper even asked that question, that tells me I feel like these guys and girls are checking the box. So if Trump does win next week, they go, well, we ask tough questions.
You know what? For me, sitting as an independent thinker, I keep coming back to that. I'm registered independent. I think independent. I'm not buying the Kool-Aid that anybody's selling at all, free or otherwise. This is a weird one to watch this general election play out.
Oh, yeah.
Not just the presidential election, but kind of like across the board. This one is... You know what it does is kind of gives me a little bit of hope. And I'll tell you why. Did you read Jeff Bezos? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Jeff Bezos.
I call you Clinton Pieck all the time.
Well, that's it. Bezos. Did you read his response of them? Did you read his response?
I read it on the air a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So what Clinton...
He's accepting full responsibility. They're like what's the word? The ratings on the media is below Congress, and Congress is like single digits.
Correct. So he talks about the mistrust of the media. And so he, of course, Amazon guy owns the Washington Post. And one of the things I was taught by a guy named Bob Lee. Bob Lee's been in this market forever. He actually put KNST, the news station, on the air in the 80s, brought Rush Limbaugh to Tucson.
And it's Bezos?
Bezos. Okay, but Bob Lee was on the Wake Up one day with me, and this is probably several years ago, and he really made an interesting case on how... Because he's a real news guy. He's like Dan Shearer from the Green Valley News, like a news guy, old-fashioned news guy. And he said a dangerous trend has happened in media, and that dangerous trend is that the Washington Post will now print a story. It could be the New York Times, whatever. But he said the Washington Post, and I remember he said it on the air. Here's a story where they went to press, and it had the whole story was based on 2 unnamed sources. right? And he goes, I would never go with a story.
What was it, 3? In the old good old
But
days,
you
we
still
need
never
3?
do. You don't.
I mean, we need 3 named sources.
Right. Right, that's the difference. So we went from 3 named sources to 2 unnamed sources that's fit to print, as they say.
Well, you know,
Okay.
I've heard Chris Wallace talk about his dad, Mike Wallace,
Yep.
who was the legendary news guy from 60 Minutes.
Yep, sure.
And he said that's when it really changed. 60 Minutes really changed the whole news because basically up until that point, news was almost just like a public service.
Right.
We're just going to provide the news. Walter Cronkite's going to read it to you. No one, he's not I'm old enough to remember Walter. You didn't know where Walter
But here's
was
the
coming
thing:
down.
it's the ethics and standards of journalism has changed.
But it's the money too.
Of course.
we can make money at this. That's where 60 Minutes exposed. Hey, we can. This is a money. This is a leader in. Matter of fact, we can produce news for free, basically, compared to a program show, and we can do 24/7.
Well, they really understood the news media late 90s, early 2000s, where you had the Clinton Lewinsky thing, right, where everyone was clicking into their stuff.
And the Iranian hostage thing with
That's
Nightline.
Early 80, right? And then you had that. And so it builds, right? Everyone following stupid OJ and the Bronco.
Yep.
And that whole
Yep.
case. So the OJ thing brought that. I mean, think about it. There's that stupid channel that all they have is court cases.
Yep. Court TV.
Right? That's OJ.
Yeah.
That's from OJ, right? They just call it OJ TV.
Yeah.
Okay. But then you had the Clinton scandal.
Yep.
But then 9/11 happens.
Yep.
Right? And everyone was tuned into their news.
Yep.
Right? And now we have that that chyron that goes across. That's from 9/11.
Yep.
Right? Because they were showing all these miserable things and
Yep.
body counts
Yeah.
and all this
Yeah.
stuff, right? But that's what you're right. That builds. But that's when they said, "Oh, we start making some serious money
We
after
make
this."
some coin.
But
For not much money. All we need is a couple talking heads,
Right.
a couple of unknown sources, and away we go.
So on the unknown sources thing that's dangerous, as Bob taught us one day on the show, was you take the Washington Post has a story based on 2 unknown sources. And then the Washington Post has a reputable name in news for still a good amount of people 10 years ago. Even to this day, there's people that like the Washington Post. And what they do is now all the other media companies repeat the Washington Post reported that Clint Peake has 3 enslaved orangutans in his she shed up in Oro Valley. Right? And then everyone...
Teaching them AI.
Yeah, thank you. Right? But that's how news has developed, right? Is now everyone repeats the story because there's this assumption.
There's no facts. This is all opinions, basically, or made up stuff. I'm either making stuff up or I'm offering you an opinion.
So one of the commercials you've been hearing lately is Trump's abortion ban. Trump's abortion ban. He didn't have a ban, right? They kicked it. Dobbs kicked it to the states.
Yeah.
But somehow, again, so
well, the fact that Trump's got a ban in anything right now is absurd. I mean, you're not the king. I mean, we got a 3-tiered executive system that creates laws and checks and balances.
According to my
and
notes, he's not the president.
Yeah,
he didn't get much through a Congress when he was in. Other than the tax cuts.
You know
were
what
great.
This boils down to?
Yes.
Yeah, this boils down to. It goes back to education.
Uh-oh.
This comes right back to comes back faith, family, schools.
I'm telling you, man. That's in the end that will always be the story. In the end, it'll
That's
always
where we're
go back
coming
to
from.
faith, family, schools.
Because we've lost our faith as a nation. Less than half the American population attend any sort of religious gatherings of any kind.
Yeah.
Our families are fractured. You look around at the people that you know. How many fractured families do you see? Multiple, mixed families and all that. And then our schools are just. I'm going to give props to our local Tucson or Marana Unified School District Superintendent Dan Streeter. Dr. Streeter is a man of vision. There's no doubt about it. I have an utmost respect. David had him in here last Wednesday.
Yeah, I saw some chunks of that. It was good.
You know, the guy is an outside the box thinker, and I'm going to give him props because when you're working inside a system that we all that you and I could probably agree is wobbly at best, and you're being that creative, offering opportunities to educate children, and the numbers are there.
And I need Marana School District to be the best it can be,
the best in the state.
If I keep telling you this is the shining star of Southern Arizona,
agreed.
I can't have a subpar school district.
And you know what we're going to do? Live the Dream Media is doubling down. We as individuals, we as an organization, we want to support anything we can do to support the Marana School District. I mean, we're going to support the rest of them as well.
Nah, screw them.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
and we're gonna do it because we got to have that next generation just be awesome. We have failed a whole bunch of kids from your age group down to the babies right now. We failed a whole bunch of people as a nation. What's the matter with us?
Yeah.
You don't want your kids to read, but where's it start? It starts in the family.
Yeah, it's just repeating mistakes, inheriting horrible dynamics from your parents.
You got to push down. I'm talking to a young man right now that started a private school, and I'm going to help him. And it's faith based. He's teaching all the stuff that we need to be teaching. We'll have him on pretty soon. I'm going to call him by name, David Lopez Academy. Great guy. You can just tell his heart's in the right place. He's a good Christian man. I said, David, you've got to have the complete 100% backing and support of your parents. And he's referring to them as founding families. I said, without that, you're just doing the same thing everybody else is
Correct.
doing. You got to have parents that are willing to make sacrifices for their children, right?
Sure.
Because isn't that what we do as parents? Or at least I know my parents did.
Again,
I don't mean sacrifice like heavy burden, but they made sure we had all we needed, and they made sure they had the time to invest in us.
The shining star in all of this is, again, the academic freedom movement in Arizona has been amazing.
Yeah,
75,000 parents due to ESAs dropped out of whatever crap they were doing.
Yeah.
A lot of public schools that were just not teaching their kids, or if they were teaching them, it wasn't the best thing humanly possible.
I saw recently in a survey, Arizona got an A in subsidiary type education, the extracurricular stuff we were doing by offering charter schools. Even though we're bad in overall education, like pretty much everybody else is, the flexibility, I guess, that parents have in Arizona ranked an A. It wasn't the best. There were a couple states that were better than us.
2 years ago, I was at a thing with Heritage and Goldwater where a geek from Heritage talked about Ohio. And again,
they were there.
Right. They talked about when they started opening up academic freedom, open enrollment, charter schools, ESAs for kids with special needs, all these things. It really showed that the K through 12 government schools, they really did say, "Oh God, we got to get our game up."
Yeah.
And you could see that there was an improvement. They have this heat map that's really cool that shows how after this happened, you saw it goes up a little bit. Then this happened, and then this goes up, and you can see that the K through 12 government schools, because they had to compete, we're trying to up their game.
Well, competition creates.
I know
it just makes everybody a little better in the end of the game. You know, and any of the listeners out there going, "Oh, there goes Clint again," and Chris. We love teachers.
Oh,
we love teachers. We love people that are in education. It is a tough job. Nobody's saying you can throw the wand.
Government schools have sucked the joy out of teaching for a lot of people.
And you know what? Most people start out, I think, in their career as a teacher wanting to do the right thing. And I've talked to numerous teachers over the years, I'm sure you have, Chris, and they get in, and the system, I don't think it's like individuals per se, the way the system is structured, it just takes that joy out. Okay, we got to do it this way. What was the word he used? Not compliance. Compliance. That was the word that Dan used several times. Dr. Strader was compliance. We take that, and we take the joy out of it. He mentioned that.
So
at the third grade, the joy is gone. Now we got to get on these tests.
I was on the board of the Lehman Academies for the first few years, and when we were there, we built Marana, Oro Valley. We did one in Sierra Vista. We built the East Side one, and we were just building the one on Pima. So 5
of them.
And I remember every beginning of a semester. So in August and then one in January, we'd be at this big church up here on Camino de la Tierra and Cortero. Word of Life, one of those. It's a biggie. Anyway, what happened was we would have a teachers summit. Mm-hmm. So every teacher from all of our schools would come and we'd have sessions and things and then a lunch together. So I used to go and sit with the teachers. And I always asked them, because remember, a lot of them were taking a pay cut and leaving the state retirement system to come work at a Lehman to be on a 401k. And I said, well, why would you do such a thing? And they always said, I got to teach again. I was willing to take the pay cut of $2,000 to $3,000 and get off the state retirement so I can get back to loving to teach again.
Yeah.
Which was not happening. And it could be, and even the good schools have their issues, right? So Vail, which is one of the better school districts in the state, so we opened one up on Golf Links on the east side. And I remember Cal Baker, the guy who was the superintendent, kind of got them into rock star mode. He saw my boy Joe Higgins, who was one of the CEO at the time and one of the partners, and said, you don't want to do this. And he was like, why? We're going to pull from TUSD kids. You're killing it over there. And we did pull from TUSD, some Vail kids, but we did pull from teachers from Vail, which we were not expecting to come over. And there was a discussion about teaching to tests instead of teaching kids, right? As we like to say, it's about lighting a fire, not filling a bucket.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
And so so the reason I bring up any of this, right, is about the joy of teaching. If you get them out of the government compliance world, we're not saying there should be no compliance. I mean, we want safe schools and people doing things properly. But it's the idea, once you get that and you're not getting administrative overmanage from your, like TUSD is the ultimate. You want to crush a teacher, go work at TUSD. Right? The administrators are constantly micromanaging.
And the results prove that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, one thing I want to get to before we get to our nostalgic Halloween today. Remember after 9/11, to this day, when we have our 9/11 remembrance, we always say never forget.
Yeah.
Here's my never forget rant for the day on the Working Title podcast on Live the Dream Media. If you haven't gotten the podcast, the app on the Android or Apple store, join the revolution.
What David tell us a while ago? 1,500 have downloaded the app now?
I think it's more than that.
It's a bunch.
So
it's a bunch. Come on, get that app.
So I know we have short memories as human beings. I know we're constantly barraged by crap, right? Media wise, just crap, right? We're having a hard time paying some of our bills. Pound of ground beef is on sale at $8 a pound. All of these things.
Yeah, and that's the 80-20 stuff.
Correct. Now, it's October 30th of 2024. 4 short years ago, these bastards in the government took advantage of a horrible situation called a coronavirus pandemic. And I remember being at a talk with someone talking about the silver lining of the corona. There were some silver lining. It was a horrible situation, right? But this guy has said one of the biggest silver linings is we now know exactly who everybody is.
Exactly.
Right? And you have to not forget that. And you have to name names a little bit. But remember the government elected and unelected bureaucrats that ruined your life.
Warren Buffett says it so beautifully, so eloquently. When the tide goes out, we know who's naked.
Yep. No, it's true. Right? And so
And a bunch of people were swimming naked. Let's just that was just the reality.
No, I mean this is it. So from your federal government, right? And telling you that an Inflation Reduction Act is something that reduces inflation by flooding the economy with more printed borrowed money, right? Yeah. As we say on Wake Up Tucson, the John Vernon character in Josie Wales. Yeah. Don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what they've been telling you this whole entire time. People who shut down your schools,
Yep.
people who shut down your businesses.
Yep.
How many people's lives were ruined, their dream of owning a small business ruined by these people and their either overreaction or it was such a thrill of power that they couldn't admit they were wrong either.
Yeah.
That's the other part. So we always talk about these candidates that have no humility. Right? Well, what happens is when you become an elected official with no humility, you can't admit it you're wrong.
Right.
No matter how many lives you cost, right? So think about it. They put a untested vaccine out there on the market that you're not allowed to sue the Pfizer Moderna bastards no matter what it does.
Yeah.
They went through all the FDA compliance in 3 seconds, right? People that work for the CDC made money off of the development of the vaccine. Right, go watch Robert Malone on Joe Rogan.
And now taxpayers are paying millions of dollars to people that are winning court cases.
Sure.
That were fired or shut out of their jobs.
So the transportation people in San Francisco, BART.
Yep.
They're all getting $1 million a pop.
Yeah.
Because they were fired from their jobs for not getting the vax.
We got to figure out a better way to punish. And I'll use that word, punish the people that create these. And why are the taxpayers being punished?
They're always punished.
The taxpayers get screwed at every, and the taxpayers, guys, by the way, that's you and me.
So don't forget here locally, right? Chuck Huckleberry, Sharon Bronson, Rex Scott, he's full of crap. All right, Matt Hines, Sylvia Lee. Well, Sylvia wasn't there. I'll give Sylvia a pass.
Let's give her a pass.
And then you had Regina Romero, Steve Kozaczyk, all of these people Paul Cunningham, Nikki Lee, they all closed and ruined down your businesses and your lives. Then these school boards like TUSD, right? Even Marana had a little bit of problem with reopening the schools.
Yep.
Now, the town of Marana, Mayor Ed, he was the superstar of it all.
I told him numerous times, man, you of all of them, you were the best, Ed. He gave me cover as a business owner in Marana.
Yep.
Against some pretty draconian enforcement that was coming down not only from the state but from the county, which was really. Remember the Wall of Shame?
I remember the Wall of Shame. So that's why I keep telling people.
Tell on our neighbors.
So Rex Scott, who's running in District 1, I'm so nice and blah blah. He's not nice. Okay, he's raised your taxes 3 times, but he's also helped shut down your business and supported the Wall of Shame, where you made a dynamic where neighbors ratted out on neighbors. That's horse crap.
Yeah, that's just terrible.
So remember this when you're voting. These people, and I'm going to tell you something, Kamala Harris represents the cabal that shut your ass down.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, and all the wasted money on the coronavirus stimulus money and all the fraud. I mean, the only other word that has the word fraud after it more is Medicare. Yeah. Right? I mean, this is where you're at. So don't never forget who screwed you 3 to 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Because they happily screwed you. They all kept their jobs. They didn't take a pay cut.
No.
Did you and Tammy take a pay cut in the Copper Creek Cookies world?
Are you kidding me? Thank God we had a little bit of savings.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, your coronavirus money didn't save you?
No. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Now you're hurting me. Now my pain points are really like right there. I mean, it was dramatic as a small business owner. In this plaza, 11 people out of probably about 30, a third of the people went out of business, right away.
Yep.
Up and down Ina, we lost like 40 businesses just in this little corridor. Now, I'm not going to say all of them were in great shape before it, but this was just the death knell.
So remember the Rex Scotts and Regina Romeros, and I'm going to tell you the state's Doug Ducey screwed up too, right?
Yeah, I was disappointed in him.
Now he was better than some, but he screwed up too. But these are the people who said, "Oh, your business is not essential,"
and yet Home Depot, all the big boys were. Did you notice that?
These she-shed selling bastards,
all of them.
They got to stay open.
All of them.
Yep.
Not one big business shut down, to my knowledge.
All the supermarkets,
maybe
the
they
Walmart,
work within some restraints
with their stupid arrows.
Yeah.
And think about it. Remember they had all the thing about disinfecting?
Yeah.
Right? It's an aerial virus. Yeah. What are we disinfecting?
Yeah. Well, I'm a social distancer to begin with.
Oh, me too. Look at us
Hey,
right
look
now.
at us
I'm
right
sick
now.
of you.
Yeah, and wash your hands I've washed my hands 20 times a day, every day of my life, basically, and some days more. I mean, the arrows, come on.
The arrows were great.
Yeah.
And you had people like on your case because you were going the wrong way on the arrow. Okay, but again,
How about the chick that rides the scooter over here, the stand-up scooter, with no helmet, wearing her face mask?
So
I've seen her, bless her heart.
I always love the people too that have the most disgusting face masks during the whole thing, and they'd come within 3 inches of you talking to you, and you're like, "Hey, girl, I don't know what you think you got there, but it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
So go to hell." So remember, never forget the people who screwed you, your business, your neighbor. All don't forget, because I think the problem is a lot of you forgot.
I think
right?
some of us old cats, maybe younger kids, because they've been programmed, indoctrinated, that whole thing. But some of us old cats, I didn't think it would reach that. When it first started happening, I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen in America.
Remember when Trump said, and Trump blew it too, right?
Yeah, he did.
He did Project Warp Speed with that stupid
They all
vaccine,
did,
right?
except Ed Honey.
Right, correct.
Ed got it right.
No, it's so. I mean, I don't know if you have or the listeners have you ever had anyone in your life right now who's been damaged by this vax? I have a relative who's been damaged by the vax.
Our friend Scott Robb, his mother passed away from the vaccination.
Yep.
And she did it only out of civic duty.
Right. And then fear.
And fear.
Civic
but
duty
she
and
did it
fear.
basically out of civic duty.
But think about it. So
the 3 weeks she
the
was
civic
gone.
duty thing was these bastards, including Joe Biden, said, if you don't do it, you're going to kill grandma.
Yeah.
Remember he said before Christmas it's going to be a winter of death.
And you know what? They're still pushing it.
Oh,
I see these actors and musicians still playing their keyboard. What's the dude's name? You know what I'm talking about. No,
Liberace.
No, Liberace's gone.
No.
I can't think of some of these newer, younger artists. I can't remember them by name.
John Legend.
Yes, and he's just playing the piano and get your vaccine and
Are you insane?
yeah.
That's what I say to John. You nuts. But so never forget. Never forget
Yeah.
what these guys and girls did to you.
Yeah.
Because your memories are damn short. Damn short. That's why my thing up.
Yeah. Well, Chris, you know what? Could we start all over and don't hold back this time?
Yes, sir. All right, let's end
No,
up.
I agree. You know what, Chris? You said it all. You said it so eloquently. I said at the time there'll be plenty of time for postmortem of what's going on and what happened and who said what. But you know what? Honestly,
There will be no postmortem.
there is no postmortem. Everybody kind of.
Do you think the government wants a postmortem on how
No,
they
I mean how we approach it, and investigative journalists and people, which they're all gone. You know why? Because they were almost all of them. Everybody kind of drank the Kool-Aid on this one.
Of course.
Now, there was a lot of that was fear.
Government loves to peddle fear,
from a
buddy.
compliance level.
Sure.
People were fearful. But I just remember Tammy and I talking about it, and we talked about it in-house with our team. It's like, okay, here's how we're going to handle it. We're going to be respectful of everybody else's wishes, if you will.
Right.
But in our house and in our business, we're going to do what we have to do to stay open, and we're going to show respect for any and everyone that comes through.
Sure.
And we actually lost a few people, and we gained a few people because of that approach.
So
Others were like,
my
no.
friend Danny Sawai owns Tucson Strength on Wilmot Speedway, TucsonStrength.com, shameless plugger. He stayed open. He was closed very shortly.
We did close one day.
And remember, even Ducey closed the gyms,
Yeah.
and he stayed open. And the best thing he ever did was stay open.
Yeah,
right?
we didn't-
Because he
we didn't
gained a
close
whole
one
bunch
day.
of new clients who were
Exactly.
totally, they're like, man, I like this guy.
Yeah. Well, the church I go to, we doubled in size. We shut down 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, but we came right back at it. Hey, speaking of which, I wanna promote them real quick. They're having a veteran OBCN, Oral By Church of the Nazarene.
Yeah, we love good people over there.
Great people. They are having a veterans and family breakfast on November the 9th from 9 a.m. to 10:30. Former Navy SEAL Craig Sawman Sawyer will be the guest speaker, and there'll be
Jim Hacksaw Duggan will be there.
Craig Sawman Sawyer.
What
Good
a
man.
name.
Good man. He's a very interesting guy.
I love it. So that's a huge Veterans Weekend, right? Because Monday is the actual day.
Right.
9th is this great event. What time at OVCN?
9 to 10:30. There's going to be music and food and all kinds of stuff.
Admission?
The vets get in free. I think it's $5 if you're not a vet, and you go to ovcn.church to register.
Love it. And then the next day is Rockin' for Heroes.
So that's a nice packed weekend for veterans and first responders in the case.
Chris is in charge of liquor control. So IDs, wristbands.
Hey, Mike and Bonnie, if you're still listening, we maybe ought to discuss that.
Oh. You gonna see me?
You and I were in charge of carding people last year, if I remember. We were carding everybody up against the wall, Grandma. We need to see that ID.
It was a little uncomfortable, but good.
Yeah.
So anyway, again, November 9th, OVCN at 9:00. Yep. They're doing a great Veterans Day breakfast. OVCN.church.
Yes, sir.
And then the next day is Rockin' for Heroes. Gates open at 12:30. Concert starts at 1. Lexington Lab Band with the Mark Miller Band opening up. Right. Actually, I like the Lexington Lab Band. I think I'm going to like them. I think people will like them a little better than Leonid. Now, Leonid's amazing, right? But they were a Chicago cover band. They did a little Steely Dan in there. Yeah. But these guys are basically
everything.
And I think there'll be a better variety of tunes that people. Yeah. Remember, this is mostly white people in suburbia. Just play Journey, Don't Stop Believing, and it's over. Just a small town girl. It's just the way it is, man. Those wine moms. Oh, yeah. When John Post said he was serving wine slushies at the Marana Pumpkin Farm. Yeah. I'm like, that's like suburban wine mom, like catnip. It's a hot day. Oh, I can get a little Chardonnay slushy there. They have all those bad wine signs from Michael's.
Yeah.
Yeah. In their house.
Yeah.
They're like inspirational wine quotes.
That's funny. We got to get John on real soon. Now that I've been saying, John Post, if you're listening, we're going to come out and have lunch with you. Well, as soon as the October is over. Well, October for him is over. So
I think we have to do that because the other thing, lunch will be great.
Yeah.
He's saving some pumpkins for us to shoot out of the cannon.
Beautiful.
So that's
beautiful.
It's very cathartic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you grew up in Illinois.
Illinois.
I'm a New York guy.
Yeah.
So so we talk about Halloween when you grew up, right? I remember in the old days when we were younger, you had the outfit that had the plastic mask with the rubber band.
That's when you're real little.
Right?
And you're a decade or so.
You can barely breathe through the thing.
Yeah.
Right. I remember a Superman one. I had a Superman. I remember my brother and I passed down because he was older. I would get the hand-me-downs. It was a pirate like holding a knife in his mouth.
Yeah.
But it was like right up against your face.
That. Yeah. I remember those. Mom made a couple of costumes. We
did the ghost thing like Charlie Brown.
The ghost thing. But as I got a little older, we lived in such a rural area. I don't remember a whole lot of trick or treating. I mean, you'd have had to driven a car to get to my house. There was like three houses on that road.
Clint, why are your calves so good looking when trick or treating? Mile and a half.
I don't even
mile and a half between Zagnuts.
Maybe we went into town there, and when I say into town, it was like a mile to where there were a couple more houses. But as a little kid in Mount Vernon, I remember the plastic. I can see a few pictures of us like that.
So we got the teenage world, like, probably, middle school to 10th grade. In the 80s, the cool thing to be was a bum/hobo.
Yeah.
So it was just easy, right?
Yeah.
Your dad would give you one of his old flannel shirts.
Yeah.
You'd wear some crappy jeans, and then you would take charcoal and you'd cover your face with charcoal to make you look kind of dirty, stupid. Yeah. And that was your outfit.
Yeah.
But then there was the mischief part of it. So the mischief part of those, not the crap that you do like on tonight would be Hell Night, they'd call it, or Mischief Night, right?
Yeah.
Horse crap. So we would do some maniac, kind of a genius, figured out in those days you could take a aerosol cap from your arm, right, and put it on top of a cheap can of Barbasol,
Oh, okay.
right? And what would happen is if I sprayed it, it'd come out like silly string,
Yeah.
right? So you had that. Then if you had crab apples in Illinois, I assume. So there'd be a lot of throwing of crab apples at each other, and then some of the more sick bastards would buy 2 dozen eggs about 2 weeks earlier and let them go rotten.
Yeah.
And then
that's not nice.
Nope.
Parties. There were more parties when we were young.
Okay.
But now you mentioned Halloween. I went to Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. Halloween was a big deal.
Really?
Like big deal.
Why was it a big deal?
It was.
So this is 80s, early 80s, late 70s.
Yes, early. Well, it started before I got there, so mid 70s, probably up until, maybe 2000. It was like there'd be 40, 50,000 people show up, and they'd take over Southern Illinois Avenue.
Wow.
And it got to where when I was there in the late 70s, early 80s, fun. A lot of costumes, a lot of kids over, and they would shut the sale of glass beverages down.
Wow.
Like 3 days before Halloween, because they just take over the streets. I mean, literally. I mean, they'd have to just close the streets down.
So basically, so where was the parties? At the bars?
Yeah, bars and Southern Illinois Avenue, which was where the main stretch of where the bars were at. And I lived on Southern Illinois Avenue, by the way, that was a lot of fun.
I bet.
But it got to where it was just chaos. It was cars would get flipped over, people got hurt, girls got assaulted.
It was like U of A losing in a Final Four.
Yeah, it'd be like, are we won a World Series or something? We're going to burn the town down. But it was wild. I mean, you couldn't find a hotel room within 60 miles of Carbondale. All the alumni would come back, but in the beginning it was cool. A lot of cool costumes, and then in the end it was. I was long gone by then. It was just chaos, riot. It was a riot.
What was your one or two as a kid? This is always a classic discussion point. You open up your bag, you look at what you got. What was one or two candies that you couldn't stand?
Oh,
that you thought you got
anything licorice at all?
Right, the black licorice.
The licorice. Period.
Right. So good and plenties were always like that. Those were crap.
I was never really like a Skittles guy or any of that stuff.
You're a chocolate guy.
I'm more of a chocolate guy. I like the Reese's and the Almond Joys, and I wasn't too picky when it came to candy.
Well,
though.
So mine was as a kid it was fine. As you got older, was Mary Jane's. So Mary Jane's were they were like a peanut honey thing.
Yeah, that was some nasty
kind of like
stuff.
it was a cheaper version of a bit of honey.
Yeah, that was
right?
Yeah, not a big. Not
now
a big
both
fan.
would ruin your teeth.
Yeah, not a big fan.
Then there's peanut butter kisses. Those are those cheap blobs of peanut butter and either just an orange or black wrapping. And then what was the other one? Circus peanuts.
Oh yeah. I'll eat them, but they're not like going to be. They'll be the last things left in the bag with the little dust that falls off of them.
When there's a nuke one day, the cockroaches and the circus peanuts will be the only things that survive.
I like peanuts. You know what's funny is I like peanuts. Especially
sure
the salted ones and the ones that's got the little flavor on them. And I like Reese's peanut butter cup. But,
me too.
But I can't stand peanut butter. Isn't that weird?
Well, you know what we're going to do next week? I'm going to get one of those psychiatrist couches. I'm going to get one of those psychiatrist couches, and we're going to do a session about this peanut butter.
Sheds and peanut butter, because I actually enjoy peanuts. I'm not crazy about it.
I love peanut butter. Love it.
Can't do it. Peanut butter and jelly. Everybody's like, that's a stand.
I don't like peanut butter and jelly. But I like peanut butter.
Reese's peanut butter cups are fine. So
my dad was a partner in this business in Brooklyn. And so we did domestic wholesale, import stuff from Europe. But we would anything that you would have in a grocery store, we would sell you by the case. But that also included candy, right? So the boxes, like you go to a candy store in the old days, there'd be that Three Musketeers box, and you'd rip open the top, and you could reach in and buy one, right? Well, what my dad would do is he would bring 4 of those boxes home for Halloween. So when you came to the DeSimone household,
you got the candy bar.
You got the full-size candy bar.
Yep.
And so we were very popular, and then there'd be people coming back. Kids would come back 2 or 3 times.
Yes. Well, see, that's another common thread that you and I have. Is I told you my parents owned a small grocery store in Opdyke for a number of years, and that's how we got candy. Was you peel that top back, and there was no inventory control.
Nope.
If you wanted a candy bar, myself, my brother, my sister, we went and got a candy bar.
Yep. My dad would have Snickers bars and Three Musketeers.
And baseball cards.
Well,
lots of baseball cards. My mom,
Tops. None of that Fleer crap.
No. My mom, I don't even think they existed at that time.
Fleer, late 80s.
Yeah, because I'm talking more early to 80.
Oh, I made a mistake. Cockroaches, circus peanuts, and the gum from the baseball cards.
I don't think I ever chewed any besides maybe once or twice. That powder that was on it was just, what is that?
I remember watching a stand-up comedian one time, and he's like, man, it's really awesome that they make the baseball card bubble gum out of the same material they make urinal cakes out of. And I said, that's not bad. I'm not going to argue with on that one.
That's funny.
Well, have an amazing weekend.
Yep.
You too, all of our listeners out there.
And by the time you and I get back together, the election will be over. We may not know the results.
Actually, so next Wednesday when we get back together will be the Clint and Chris review the election show.
And there won't be any more ballots cast other than maybe in Chicago. There are places of Michigan.
I don't get these things where, like, even if you mail it late and it gets to, I don't know if it was Nevada. Was it Nevada? If it comes in 3 days after Election Day, we're counting it.
Yeah.
It's like, what? So, look, there should be a hard date that's 2 weeks, like maybe 10 days out. If you don't get it in, you better walk in, spoil your mail-in ballot, and go.
Yeah.
And anything that's not mailed in after that date, it just doesn't count.
Yeah.
That's life.
Yeah.
The idea that it's the most important thing you can do as a citizen is vote, and we treat it so shabbily.
Especially the way we've got it set up now, because, what do you got? Almost a month to get the job done?
Yep, agreed.
Stop. Chris, no one wants the hard times that our grandparents had to endure. Our great-grandparents and people that didn't have electricity. Or
you mean the people we call the greatest generation?
Yeah, we don't want that. But on the same token, let's quit being so soft. You know what we left last week? I'm going to finish it. Remember where we left last week? We were talking about, are there really any qualified people running for office? And I quoted my grandmother saying, wise, intelligent, hardworking people get into business, and those that don't drift into politics and bureaucracy and stuff. And you know what? I believe that to be true. I'm not going to broad stroke everybody, because we do know some good people that are running for office.
Sure.
Juan Ciscomani immediately comes to mind. Ed Honey, the mayor of Marana. And I'm not going to go any further than that, because I would leave out a bunch of people. But we got to do a better job. And I will say this: why would you want to run for office? If you're sitting at home and you're like, I could make an impact, the crap that these candidates, both sides, by the way, have to put up with is beyond the pale.
It's going to be a big November discussion, is going to be, how do we get better people to run for office? And it's not, and I don't want to, I just like to tease, in the end, it's not about just convincing them.
No,
that's not what it's about. Like, you somehow just convince them. There's a lot more to that process, and there has to. If there's not an apparent support system, it's over.
Because the abuse that our elected officials take across the board, from the public, from the competing parties, is I don't know how you police that, Chris, and because the genie's out of the bottle.
Yeah,
and we can just say anything and denigrate anybody and slam them and drag them through the mud and talk nasty and have unnamed sources talking trash about them. That is not how to run a company, for sure, and it's dang sure not the way to run a country.
Amen. All right, on that note, we got to go. 10:57. Everyone, Clinton, thanks for everything.
Thank you, Chris.
Appreciate what you do.
Love you, man.
Love you too.
I love our time together.
I was going to say Wakies. Live the Dream Media viewers, make sure you get on your app stores for the Apple or your Android and download the Live the Dream Media app. Not only do you have instant access to all our amazing shows, but also the music radio game is really starting to amp up.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I had a question. I was going to ask you. I'm going to ask you on air.
Yeah.
Do we have a because we can kind of program our own stations, right? I would like to program the Live the Dream Media. I almost said the Live the Dream Media Christmas station. Can I do that?
Absolutely. You and Tammy need to get together because she's already talking about doing that.
All right, Tammy, we're going to get together.
Yeah.
So she makes her list. I want to do classic Christmas.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and she's not so much into classic, so this will work out beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah, right. I'm a classic Christmas guy, by the way. Hey guys, thanks for watching. And you know what? Be nice to each other. Be nice to each other.
Absolutely.
It's not that hard.
Nope. It's easy. So, all right, everyone. God bless. We'll see you the day after the election. Yeah. Oh, boy. Ron Arenas, thanks for all your
Ron, thank you, buddy.
Work.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
always.
guys. Always a pleasure.
All right, let's get out of here. You're on the Working Title podcast on the Live the Dream Media Network. Download the app. We're threatening you. You must.